there's also some more changes taking place for this team. And that includes, of course, Ezekiel Elliott. He won't be returning. And we can kind of start there offensively, Dave, because they need another. I know they signed Ronald Jones, but you're not going to count on him. So you got Tony Pollard, and you need another guy. You can't just have Tony Pollard going out there and getting an exorbitant amount of touches. He's better suited as a number one. So at what point could Dallas go after a running back?
It's a great question. The Cowboys, I think they can go in any direction early in the draft. I mean, you can make a strong case for any one of 3 or 4 spots. Running back to me is not one of them, only because Pollard is going to be the guy, but I still think they want him to be the sports car. They want a pickup truck to kind of get all the dirty work done inside, and it works for them. And I think we need to get away from the thought that Ezekiel Elliott needs to be replaced. The old school Ezekiel Elliott. He was just another guy the past year or two. And I know Cowboy fans are going to get angry about that because they got emotionally attached to him. He was the face of the franchise for a long time. But take Ezekiel Elliott, the player, the past 2 years, he won't be that hard to fill. His production, his status, what he did for the offense. Ronald Jones, I do think, can do it. I do think they're going to add a running back at some point. But considering the value of the position and this running back class in particular, I think they wait till day 3 to bring in a running back, just like they waited for day 3 for Pollard, and it worked out.
And I understand, but I do believe it's on the table.
Okay.
Just knowing Jerry Jones.
Who, Bijan? Thinking about Bijan Robinson?
I don't think he'll be there.
Right.
But if he was, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the kid was from Texas. So, yes absolutely. I can see that as a Jerry Jones move. Yes. But even Gibbs would fit in nicely with the Cowboys. Yeah. So it would not surprise me. But overall, I think offensive tackle is definitely, now all of a sudden an important need. Tyron Smith's getting older. You wonder last year, it was a bad year for him, and he is getting older. And so, he's not going to get any more healthier as he gets older. So they got to figure that out. And Terrence Steele, same thing. I mean, he came from nowhere to give him some good production. He's a restricted free agent, so you don't have anything past those guys. So you have to have another tackle here. And I also think that they should try upgrading the center position. I just don't think that the kid is all that great. And I don't think it would be a surprise if they decided to do that. And on defense, they could use a nose tackle. The guys they have there, Jonathan Hankins, he's on the old side, and a nickel cornerback. As well, because with the Stephon Gilmore deal to go along with Diggs, that's a pretty nice one too. Kelvin Joseph, you have to hope that he can develop even more. But Jordan Lewis, I think you can kind of add another guy there, unless Bland is a guy that they have high hopes for.
Yeah, Bland proved to be a playmaker as a day 3 rookie. I mean, a lot of benefit came his way of what was around him. But the opportunities that he had, he led the team with five interceptions last year, right? So I believe defensive backfield, it is one of the top needs on the team. I have one of the top 3 needs. I don't think they're going to rush into filling that role. But offensive line is where I'm most concerned. Like you said, center, both he and Terrence Steele are free agents next year. And Steele is coming off a torn ACL, and I know everyone's saying he's going to be ready by training camp. That's an aggressive timeline. Right, you tear your ACL as a 330-pounder in December, and you think you're going to be ready by training camp. I think he'll be ready in September. So I don't think they need to go to the draft saying we need to find a week 1 starting right tackle. But I would be prepared, right, especially for a guy that big, and he's on the stiff side already. I would say one of the weaknesses of his game is the lower body engagement, the natural knee bend, is – get a backup option for that, right? We keep saying this, right? But this is a perfect opportunity for a college tackle that might project inside but could play both. This is the spot that Dallas needs to address because Tyron Smith is gone soon. I would even say next year, in 2024, he's not on this team anymore. The plan for Tyler Smith has always been long-term left tackle. So you open the door at left guard. You draft someone this year that, if you needed to, could play right tackle instead of Steele, and then long-term future, you have your starting left guard. So this is a spot where, one of these tackle guard conversions is a spot that I would almost guarantee is going to occur in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, they're in big trouble on the bench. I mean,
right.
The Waletzko guy, I don't know what they think about him, but that's really all they have.
I personally did not like him at all, but they like him. They like Waletzko just verbally, right, through training camp and practice. They like Josh Ball, too, as an athlete. But when you're talking about football and playing natural and being able to beat NFL linemen, I don't think either one of those guys are the answer. I would rather say, hey, if they work out, great, but let's go to the draft saying they're not there.
So let's say definitely another tackle and a guard that might even have experience playing center, or a center that you think could play guard. Maybe you could push, the number one guy.
Yeah, just a versatile offensive lineman is really what I think is the best answer for this team. Steve Avila from TCU, not really quite sure where he's going to go. They might have to make an aggressive move for him in the second round if they want to get him. I think he's one of those classic. I mean, every year.
Too early for him in a late first?
I do. I mean, I love offensive linemen. To me personally, I wouldn't knock everyone knocked the Tyler Smith pick last year, right? That was a pick that nobody saw coming. He played well last year. A lot of penalties, but we knew that was coming. That was
so maybe they'll do it again.
They could, and it'll get criticized. And then I'll tell you what, this team drafts offensive linemen at a very, very successful rate. So if they draft Avila, I would actually give this organization a lot of props. Like it's not a sexy move, but it's a move that helps them win football games.
And then a tackle, we've talked about the same guys, so we know. If you haven't listened to the other shows, run through some of the tackles.
Matthew Bergeron was a college tackle. I just think he has a guard skill set and body, but he can play both. I have him as a first-round tackle, but I do think he could shift inside. Jalen Duncan from Maryland, Tyler Steen from Alabama, and even a name that we haven't talked about yet today that I boosted him up after I did my last kind of final rankings for the stacks for the offensive lineman, with Asim Richards from North Carolina. He was a late addition to the Senior Bowl roster, played left tackle there, but has some experience inside. And I think he just has the play style and the body type of a guy that can play both spots. He actually reminds me a little bit of Tyler Smith.
Nose tackle? Again,
nope.
Do you agree? But obviously they can wait until the later rounds. But do you agree they got to do something up front? And that would be the one spot?
Yeah, nose tackle is probably – I mean, I love what they have on the outside, so I don't think they need to touch that. But inside, I mean, they're always looking for extra defensive linemen. This team is always kind of just like one guy short. I can't believe they lost Ridgeway last year. That was – I think they tried to sneak Ridgeway onto their practice squad last year, and Washington claimed him off the waiver wire because you have to go through waivers to get to the practice squad. And he ended up being their starting D tackle last year. That's the exact guy this team needs right now. That was a bizarre move to me. I remember he was a 5th-round pick, and they tried to get rid of him a couple weeks into the season, I think. So that was just I would love to get a backstory on why they did that, why that happened. But definitely need to add some beef behind Hankins and Osa Odegiz. Don't even want to get his name wrong, but they need more depth on the defensive tackle spot.
Also, by the way, do you think that they'll add in this deep class of tight ends, even though Ferguson's a guy they like, do you think that they'll add another tight end, and could they add that guy as early as the first round?
Tight end is on the list for round one for them. I like Jake Ferguson. I like Peyton Hendershot. I don't like them as starters. And I believe there's a big drop-off between them and Dalton Schultz. So that's a reason why I think this offense is going to go backwards a little bit. Is Dalton Schultz was more important to that offense than people think. Runner as a receiver and a blocker. And Ferguson and Hendershot, they're not going to hold up as blockers all year, especially in line.
Who will be available?
Darnell Washington.
You think he'll be available at that point?
I think he's got a shot. Yeah. I mean, I think Darnell Washington right now is going anywhere from pick 18 to 30. It's somewhere in that range. So, I don't like Kincaid. I think you're just getting another Ferguson Hendershot type. Obviously better, but just a better similar. Musgrave is the question mark. You just don't know that much about him. Didn't play that much. And Michael Mayer, if he makes it, I mean, one of those guys is going to be available when they're picking, at least, right? Maybe even 2 or 3 of them. So, yeah, tight end is on the list, and I wouldn't be surprised at all for them to use that pick there.